This video is a review of what we learned last week when we were talking about reflections. So this is a construction, so that means you need your compass, and we're going to construct the image of this triangle ABC after it's reflected across the line that's given, line M. So do you remember this construction and what construction we had to do? It was one of the very first constructions that we learned, and it is for a perpendicular line through a point that's not on the line. So the reason why we do the perpendicular construction is that we know that any point and its image, if we connected those two together, we would be perpendicular to the line that we're reflecting across. So we want to construct that perpendicular line so we know what line B prime will be located on. But remember, B prime will be the same distance from the line as B is. So once we do that construction, we're not finished with the construction. We've got to find that point, B prime. The first thing I would do is extend this line M. It's just not long enough to do 3 constructions with, and since it's a line, we know it continues on forever, so it's fine for us to extend. So I would just use your straight edge and just make it longer. Makes it a little bit easier to work with. So the very first thing that you want to do is put the point of your compass on one of your points. I'm going to do the construction from point B. So I'm going to put the point of my compass, which we know is the center of that twirly part, right on top of point B. I want a setting on my compass that will allow my arc to go through line M in 2 places. So this inside setting is just fine. It goes through my extension part of my line here, and it goes through the line here. So remember, start at a place that will allow you to make that arc in one motion. You don't want to go back and forth at all. You're going to create shadow lines if you do that, and that's going to get points taken off. So you want one solid motion that goes through the line in 2 places. The reason why we make that arc is to create these 2 points of intersection where our arc crosses line M. Now you're going to move the point of your compass to one of those points of intersection. It doesn't matter which one you start with because you're going to do it from both points. So once you have the point of your compass at that mark, you want a setting that will allow you to draw arcs on the other side of the line across from B. We're looking for an intersection of arcs here that we can connect and make our perpendicular line. It can be the same setting you just used, or you can change it. I'm going to use the outside line just so I have some arcs out here away from my line. So I'm going to make an arc there just in one motion, not back and forth. And then I'm going to use that same setting from the other point of intersection. And it should intersect the arc I just drew. So this point of intersection allows me to connect it with point B, and that creates my perpendicular line that goes through point B but is perpendicular to the line that was given. And you can go through, it's fine. You don't have to go from point to point. You can go through them, but you want to make sure you have enough line over here that's going to allow you to make the mark for B prime. So I'm going to do that with a different color, just so you can see it's a different arc than these arcs right here. So we want B prime to be the same distance from the line on the opposite side. And since it's a construction, we're not going to measure that in numbers like we do with a drawing. We're going to measure with our compass. So we're going to put the point of our compass on B, and we're going to open up the setting so it's at the intersection of that line and line M. So that's measuring the distance from the line to point B. You always measure at a perpendicular relationship. That's the distance, not going at a different angle than 90 degrees. So once you have that setting, you can move the point of your compass to that point on the perpendicular line going through line M where those 2 lines intersect, and use that setting to make a single arc through your perpendicular line. So see, it is not the same arc as these over here. Even if it's on top of those arcs, it's a different look than these. They are coming at a different angle, so it doesn't look the same. Now, this arc is not B prime. The intersection of the arc with the line is point B prime. So once you have done that construction, you need to do it 2 more times in order to find A prime and C prime. So when you're finished with that, this is what your construction should look like. So the blue one is the one we just did that found B prime. The red arcs are finding where to locate A prime. There's my arc, and then from this point I drew this arc and then this arc. And where they intersect, I drew a line that goes from A and is perpendicular to my line. Then I measured the distance A is from the line and came over here and made that arc, and that placed A prime right there. Then the green lines are from C. So I drew an arc from C, moved the point of my compass here to make this arc, and same setting here to make this arc, connected it to make that perpendicular line. Then I measured the distance C is from the line, and I came over here and I made that arc. So even though it's kind of on top of my arcs, it still looks different. I can see it, and I can mark my C prime. Once I know where A prime, B prime, and C prime is, I can connect them to reflect the triangle. So remember, it's not just the points, it's the triangle that you're reflecting. So we can see this triangle flipped over. Every point's the same distance from the line than that its original point was.